1, go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the WODdoc Project 365, episode 1096. Guys, if you're following along on YouTube, jump on over to thewoddoc.com. Check out all of our full-length episodes. That's where we house them. Today, we have the pleasure of welcoming on Dr. Amanda Doyle. She's a dermatologist. We never had a dermatologist on our show, so we're going to do a little roundtable conversation. Listen, it's 4th of July weekend, and people are going to be exposed to the sun. We go to the beach. We do all these outdoor activities, and I just thought it was really important because also in the CrossFit world, we like to work out outside as well. So we go to the CrossFit events, and we're out in the sun a lot, and this and that. And since I never had a dermatologist on, talking about the importance of healthy sun exposure, right? I mean, because I know that we were bantering back and forth saying like, oh, how much sun could you get exposed? And you're like, basically wrap yourself up like a mummy. But the thing is that won't necessarily happen, right? Some people do. They like to get, suntans. They like to expose themselves to suns and this and that. So the important point is like, how could we limit the risk, or what are the dangerous type of things? Like, how could we healthily do the things that we want to do, right? I mean, because people are going to expose themselves to the sun. What's a safe strategy to go ahead and do that?
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to be here, and
first person that's ever been excited to actually be on the show.
I'm just really excited to share some information with you, and realistically, a lot of patients aren't going to wrap themselves up like a mummy, like you said.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
I always give.
Notice this tan? You guys notice this tan? Healthy tan.
Healthy tan. Which there's no such thing as. But
oh my gosh! All right, back to what.
But anyways, so there are a couple of tips that I give patients so they don't have to feel like they're living in a bubble. One would be, if you're going to be out in the sun, try to limit your exposure as much as possible between the prime hours of 9 to 2.
That's when the sun is the strongest,
most direct in most areas.
Okay.
The other thing being, if you can incorporate hats, specifically wide brim hats, SPF, at least minimum SPF 30, ideally 45 or up.
So if we're going to put on SPF 30, like, why? What does that even mean? Like, why can't I use like that the banana boat stuff, right?
That's definitely not enough coverage.
Okay. So what exactly is my risk then if I'm putting on these low, SPF sunscreens?
So I often find that patients aren't applying enough or as frequently as they should, or if they're going in the water or perspiring a lot of them aren't water resistant, so you have to take into consideration all of those things. So application every couple of hours, especially if you're perspiring or going in the water, is highly important. Incorporating a water resistant form is also helpful. If you're not using enough SPF or a broad spectrum, then you're not getting the coverage that you think you are. So I think it's really important.
All right, so let me wrap up things. I'm very slow sometimes, so I always like to put things in small packages. Basically, what we want to be able to do then is limit during the prime hours, right? And then put on some type of sunscreen, give ourselves some hat, umbrella, anything that's going to shade us a little bit, right? And like, what's the story about doing like the base tan things? Is it all right? Like is it healthier to have like some exposure, like graded exposure, that type of stuff? Like, how does that work?
Great question. I get this a lot. There's no such thing as a protective base tan, which is a common misconception for a lot of people. So any sort of tan is actually not protective in any way. So just making sure that you're getting the protection that you need is first and foremost.
Right, and it's important to understand that getting burnt really bad is bad, right? Because it can expose us to what are those big words that you told us?
Yeah, so increased risk of skin cancer with those that tan more frequently or have had numerous suntans. I've seen this many times in my practice, so it's highly important that you're at least trying to avoid those types of situations where you're getting a lot of tan.
And if you are ever like in doubt, like I have this weird spot or something like that, what should we do?
Excellent point. Anytime you're concerned in any way, you should definitely get a skin check at least yearly for most people, sometimes more depending on your circumstance. And then the other thing that you can do is just, of course, go and get it checked by a dermatologist to make sure that everything's fine.
Is self-checking okay, or you should always get checked?
Depending on the situation, I think it's an important part to incorporate, just making sure that you're aware of anything that's changing in color, size, shape, texture, or if it starts spontaneously bleeding. All of those are warning signs, so you should definitely get that checked out.
Very, very cool. In doubt, get it checked out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sounds like we can use that for a lot of things. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Guys, questions, comments, anything about this, please write below and we'll get at your questions. And if not, have a great holiday weekend. Happy 4th of July. And until tomorrow, we're optimizing function to optimize performance.